So we were discussing before you walked up about Mendeecees, like why him without Yandy? She on the yacht with a fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Is that not her?
Yeah.
Is that not her? Let me show you this.
Hold on, what man?
Whoa. The one she with.
Who with it?
Yandy right now.
Momma Dee has officially touched down in Puerto Rico, and you already know she didn't come for peace. She came for the tea. From Mendeecees to Yandy and even some yacht side drama, Momma Dee is ready to stir the pot and spill every messy detail.
The second Momma Dee's heels touched the Puerto Rican pavement, the vibe shifted. She didn't step off that flight to relax, sip fruity cocktails, or sit in the background while everyone else played nice. No, this was Momma Dee, the self-crowned queen of the South, and when the queen arrives, somebody's crown is about to tilt. From the moment she walked in, all eyes were on her, because everyone knew she wasn't coming empty-handed. She came with gossip hotter than the Caribbean sun, and the names dripping off her tongue were none other than Yandy and Mendeecees. She didn't even try to hide it. Her mission in Puerto Rico wasn't peace, it was exposure. And that's exactly why the cameras caught her pacing like a detective on vacation, whispering to producers, smirking to bystanders, already planting seeds of chaos before the first drink was poured. Because while most of the cast was there to cool off and celebrate, Momma Dee was there to fan the flames. She said it herself, if everyone else came to sip champagne, she came to sip tea. And baby, this tea was boiling over. The whispers had already started. Yandy wasn't with Mendeecees. Not tonight, not last night, maybe not at all. She was allegedly spotted on a yacht, laughing, smiling, enjoying herself with someone who most definitely wasn't her husband. And in the messy universe of love and hip-hop, that kind of sighting doesn't go unchecked. Momma Dee leaned in, phone in her hand like a weapon. Is that not her? She asked, waving the screen, replaying clips, zooming in, making sure the whole room paid attention. And the crowd gasped the way only reality TV can make a crowd gasp, because if that truly was Yandy on the yacht, then the entire image she's built, the loyal wife, the brand-safe woman holding her family together through prison terms, baby mama drama and endless chaos was starting to crack. And it was Momma Dee who put her finger right on the fracture line. But this wasn't just idle shade. This was strategy. Momma Dee has been around too long, seen too many storylines, survived too many seasons not to know how to flip the script. When she compared herself to a journalist, to a Gayle King ready to get the scoop, she wasn't exaggerating. She meant it. She wanted to interrogate. She wanted answers. And she promised Puerto Rico wouldn't end without them. That's what makes Momma Dee dangerous. She doesn't just whisper behind backs. She drags the whole mess into the spotlight. And let's talk about the man in question. He wasn't just somebody. According to Momma Dee, the man had a 12-pack. The kind of body that made the women blush and the men nervous. He wasn't background material. He was the type of temptation that could make any husband sweat if photos started circulating. And Momma Dee wasn't just suggesting, she was declaring that Yandy was caught up in something that could not be brushed aside as an innocent yacht ride. If you were there, watching the fire in her eyes, you'd know. She wasn't guessing, she was certain. Meanwhile, the focus shifted to Mendeecees. Where was he in all this? According to Momma Dee, he was moving solo, seen twiddling his fingers, brushing off questions, dodging cameras like a man with something to hide. The marriage of fans had already debated for years. Was it real? Was it legal? Was it built on loyalty, or appearances suddenly looked more fragile than ever? And in the middle of it all, it wasn't Yandy or Mendeecees holding court. It was Momma Dee, narrating the cracks, shaking the table, and daring anyone to challenge her version of events, because when Momma Dee speaks, she doesn't mumble. She performs. She let her voice carry across that resort like it was a press conference, daring cameras to zoom in, daring castmates to react, daring production to intervene. If they're not really married, why would she be ashamed? She asked, drawing gasps and side eyes from everyone in earshot. And you could feel the tension start to thicken. If those words hit social media, it would be game over for Yandy's carefully built image. The boss chick wife who endured, who stood by her man through everything. Suddenly she was painted as a woman sneaking off to yachts with mystery men while her so-called husband sat alone. And let's be clear, this wasn't some quiet shade tossed in a confessional. This was Momma Dee in full attack mode, pointing fingers on sight, letting her voice rise above the music and the waves, daring anyone to call her a liar. And that's the danger of letting Momma Dee run free in Puerto Rico. She doesn't care about alliances. She doesn't fear reputations, and she knows exactly how to keep the cameras glued. Every step she took felt like a setup for a blow-up. Every smirk felt like a warning shot. The thing is, Momma Dee thrives in chaos. She calls herself the queen, but not because she wears a crown, because she knows how to control the mess. And this time, The mess had Yandy and Mendeecees' name stamped all over it. The way she said it, the way she leaned in with that sly grin, it wasn't just gossip. It was a promise. She promised to confront Mendeecees directly, to put the questions in his face and watch him squirm on camera. And if you know Momma Dee, you know she always delivers by the end of the night. The resort felt less like a vacation getaway and more like a battlefield waiting for the first shot. Yandy hadn't spoken. Mendeecees hadn't defended. But Momma Dee had already planted the story in everyone's head. Was the marriage a fraud? Was Yandy sneaking around? Was Mendeecees losing control of his narrative? The questions were everywhere. And the one woman leading the charge was the one woman who loves to watch the world burn when the cameras are rolling. So as the waves crashed in Puerto Rico and the music tried to drown out the tension, one thing was certain: this trip was no longer about paradise. This was about power. And Momma Dee had just snatched it. But here's the thing about secrets: once they're exposed, you can't put them back in the bottle. And with Momma Dee on the warpath, Puerto Rico wasn't just going to be a trip. It was about to be the stage where Yandy and Mendeecees faced their biggest humiliation yet. And just when you thought the drama couldn't get hotter, Momma Dee leaned back, laughed, and said the words that sent chills through the villa: "I didn't come to play. I came to slay." The crowd gasped, the cameras zoomed in, and the cliffhanger was set. Would Mendeecees finally face her questions? Would Yandy finally speak up? Or would Puerto Rico explode before the sun even set? The sun was setting in Puerto Rico, but the fire Momma Dee lit earlier in the day was only getting bigger. The resort that was supposed to feel like paradise had shifted into a pressure cooker. Every cast member could feel it, every camera operator knew to stay close, and every producer leaned forward in their chair. Because when Momma Dee says she's coming to slay, it means somebody's reputation is about to bleed. And right on cue, there he was, Mendeecees, calm as ever, walking through the lobby like a man who thought he had nothing to hide. But Momma Dee wasn't about to let him stroll by. She stood tall, crossed her arms, and waited for him like a lioness waiting for her prey. When their eyes locked, the energy snapped. She didn't bother with small talk. She didn't smile. She jumped straight to the truth. "Why your wife on a yacht with another man?" she asked, her voice sharp enough to cut through the music playing in the background. The room froze. Mendeecees blinked, caught off guard, but he tried to play it cool. He chuckled, shifted in his seat, glanced at the cameras as if looking for backup. "What you talking about, Dee?" he said, trying to downplay it. But Momma Dee wasn't buying it. She waved her phone in his face. Screen lit up at the blurry image she had been showing everybody earlier. "Don't play with me. Don't play with the queen. Is this not Yandy? Is this not your wife?" The whisper spread like wildfire. Castmates leaned in, production assistants whispered into their headsets, and the audience at home already knew this was the confrontation the entire season had been building toward. Momma Dee had the receipts, at least enough to plant doubt, and she wasn't letting go until she got an answer. But Mendeecees wasn't about to fold that easy. He leaned back, smirked, and said, "That's my wife. I don't know who you think you saw, but Yandy know we're home at." It was an attempt to dismiss, to put the story to bed before it spread further. But with Momma Dee, dismissing only makes the fire burn hotter. She stepped closer, her voice rising. Her finger pointed directly at him. "If that's your wife, why's she out here acting single? Why is she riding with ABS on a boat while you sitting here twiddling your fingers? Don't lie to me, Mendeecees. Don't lie to Puerto Rico. Cameras catch everything." The line hit like a bomb. Castmates gasped, producers whispered, "We got it." And suddenly all eyes darted toward the entrance because there she was, Yandy, dressed in white, glowing under the dim lights, walking in like she owned the room. And for a split second, the tension turned into silence, because the question wasn't just about what she had done, it was about how she would react. Once she saw Momma Dee holding court and her husband looking cornered. Yandy froze when she caught the stares. She wasn't dumb, she could read a room. She knew something had been said, something was circulating, and her name was in every whisper. She took a deep breath, adjusted her dress, and walked forward, trying to maintain the polished image she'd spent years building. But Momma Dee wasn't giving her that grace. "Oh, look who finally decided to join," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Queen boss chick herself. Tell us, sis, how's the yacht life treating you?" The shot landed. Yandy's eyes widened, her lips parted, and for the first time in a long time, she looked shaken. She tried to laugh it off, tossing her hair, waving her hand as if to say this was beneath her. "Really, Dee? This what we doing? We in Puerto Rico to celebrate, and you over here making up lies for a storyline." But that only made Momma Dee louder. "Lies? Baby, I don't need to make up nothing. The street's talking. The picture's talking. And when the queen talks, the truth comes out whether you like it or not." Now it was Mendeecees' turn to shift in his seat. He didn't defend, he didn't check Momma Dee instead. He stared at Yandy. And that silence spoke louder than any words could. The tension between them was thick and everyone watching knew it. If Mendeecees truly believed in her, he would have shut the conversation down. But he didn't, he hesitated. And that hesitation was all Momma Dee needed to fan the flames. You see that? She shouted, pointing at him like a prosecutor in court. Even your husband ain't defending you. Even he got questions. So, what's the truth, Yandy? You sneaking around? You out here embarrassing this man? Or was this marriage never real to begin with? The crowd gasped again. That was the line, the one everyone was waiting for. The marriage question. For years, fans debated whether Yandy and Mendeecees were legally married or if it was just a TV ceremony. Now, in Puerto Rico, Momma Dee was ripping open that wound in front of everyone. And there was no going back, Yandy snapped. Her voice finally cracked through the tension as she raised her hands and shouted, I don't owe you or nobody else an explanation. What me and Mendeecees got is between us. Her face was flushed, her voice sharp, but the damage was done. Once you shout like that, once you break like that, the audience smells blood. And Momma Dee knew it. She grinned, leaned back, and clapped her hands slowly. Baby, when you shout like that mean guilt talking. I ain't say nothing you didn't already fear was gonna come out. The camera zoomed in on Mendeecees, who now sat stone-faced, looking like a man who didn't know whether to protect his wife or protect himself. Yandy looked at him, desperate for him to jump in, to save her, to say something that would silence the room. But he stayed quiet. That silence echoed louder than any scream, and just like that, the Paradise trip became a war zone. Lines were drawn. Castmates whispered about who would side with Momma Dee, who would side with Yandy, and whether Mendeecees was about to flip on his own wife. The night ended with no resolution, only more questions, more doubts. And the kind of humiliation that lingers long after the cameras stop rolling, because the truth is, when Momma Dee decides to humiliate you, she doesn't just come for your reputation, she comes for your foundation. And now the foundation of Yandy and Mendeecees' marriage was cracking in front of everyone. And as the waves crashed harder outside and the cameras caught the chaos inside, one thing was clear: Puerto Rico wasn't the getaway anyone imagined. It was the battlefield where Momma Dee reminded everyone why she calls herself the queen. Because she doesn't just watch drama, she creates it. And this time, she dragged Yandy and Mendeecees into a spotlight so bright. There was no way out without scars. Out without scars.